I'm ZimZoe, and this video, well, I've gone on a little bit of a, well, not field trip, but a little bit of a trip, because we've been walking for about 20 minutes, we're nearly there. When I say walking, I don't mean like very fast either, more like strolling, and this isn't our final destination either. The only reason I've stopped here is because today we're headed to the beach. Well, technically first we're headed to the marina, and then we're headed to the beach, but it's going to be windy. So I thought I might as well get it done now with this gorgeous scenery around me, rather than later when it's going to be too windy and you might not hear what I'm saying. Plus this place is absolutely gorgeous. I don't really come here very often, but it really does look lovely. Ooh. I'll film some more scenery before we get on our way. See, we could just walk along that street. This path doesn't necessarily actually save any time. It just sort of, it looks nicer. And it is absolutely gorgeous day, which is strange because yesterday it was supposed to start off gorgeous like this, and then in the afternoon it was supposed to be thunderstorms and just rain, enough rain to cause flooding in certain areas, and I was terrified that we weren't going to be able to come to the beach today. And I woke up this morning and the sun was shining, and so I was like, yes, means we can go to the beach. And one thing I'm going to be doing on the beach is something I haven't done for years, absolutely years. In fact, it's been so long I can't remember when the last time I actually did it was. Though I know last time I definitely wasn't at a beach. But I think I feel better doing this thing at a beach because, well, other people are more likely to be doing it. Pretty sure last time I did it in a park. And the reason I've been so vague is because I kind of want it to be a surprise. Oh, I'm really excited. Oh, you guys have no idea how excited I am. Like, I'm just being like super childish today. But it's a day when I'm not doing anything. I'm allowed to act childish. Oh, there's a skate park over there. I never knew. Oh, it's all really smudgy. I should have probably cleaned the camera first. Oh well, it doesn't matter. Oh, move out the way. Last time we came down here, on our way back, there was a guy walking his dog in here, and literally we managed to take 2 steps into the park through where that guy's leaving just now, and the dog immediately ran up to us and was like on his hind legs, like stood up like, hello people, I love people, will you love me? Tail going 20 to a dozen, and the owner's like, oh, you'll literally stand there all day and let you do that, because we were fuzzing him. Anyway, I'm gonna stop the camera now. Next shot will probably be just as we get onto the field in front of the marina. The wind might not be too bad, but I'll give it a go. This is the field I was on about, and just over the other side, you'll be able to see the edge, is a car park. But what I like is this huge memorial with everything. There is a sign down there, which I will film for you guys, explaining everything on the memorial. When I say sign, then yeah, the sign explains what it says on the sign. But one time I was coming down this path because I decided I want to go to the beach, and it had been raining the day before, but it was glorious sunny like this, so I thought it would be fine. And this path is not exactly straight. I don't mean that it's curved, I mean like even. So there was a huge puddle. I was like, oh, I don't want to walk through that, I've only got Converse on, I'll walk around it. And so I did, and instantly regretted it, because my Converse, well, let me just say the mud must have been about 1 inch deep, and so I sort of just immediately sunk into it. Here we go. Oh. That one says 5 lamps, which is where we usually play the memorial service in November, our band, but lately I've been doing it at King's Garden, which both of them have a memorial service on. Oh, can you hear all the crickets? Awesome. Now, where that skip truck thing is just gone, well, there's a path, and I'm not sure if you guys can see it or not, but we're headed right to the very, very end of it. Now, you guys won't be able to see the very, very end of it, but well, we're going over the hill, and this water past the cars is the marina. I'll show you when we get closer. Also, guys, don't know if you guys will be able to see it or not, X marks the spot. It's just a sign about some of the information. I'm going to zoom in now, so in case you guys are reading it on a small device, feel free to pause it to read it. Now it's getting a little bit more windy here, and believe it or not, that's actually a pretty good sign. We're not quite there yet, we're only about halfway up the path, but I thought this is as good a place as any to get a brilliant shot of the marina. Last time we walked around the far side because we'd come out from South Road, or I think that's what it's called, and so it was easier, and then we came back walking this side, and coming back we saw two guys being idiots is the only word I can think of it, because, sorry for a quick phew, over there, see that white thing? It's a raft, or sort of greyish coloured thing. It's a raft, and they'd rowed their boats out to there, got out the boats onto the raft, pushed the boats away, and then dived in. And they were screaming, not screaming like help us, but screaming as in like, oh my god, it's cold. And so me, being me, thought, wonder how cold it is. So I walked down to the edge here, or maybe it was further down, but yeah. And I tested the water with my hand, and yes, indeed it is cold. Even on sunny days like this, the water remains cold. Ooh, a nice sailboat over there. Or I assume it's a sailboat. Anyway, the kayak managed to float all the way from the raft right to the edge. Someone was like, do you want me to put it on the side for them? And I was like, no, leave them to it. They push them away, they must know what they're doing. So yeah, as you can see, all the sand on that side. And over that side is the docks. Not like the docks as in, like, you know, in Liverpool town you can walk around, they've got a few boats in where you've got like the Tate Gallery. We're talking like the docks as in, like, you know, where the big ships come in, or the, I don't know, my brain's saying packing containers, but that's not what they're in. The big metal boxes they put on ships to transport stuff, you know what I'm on about. The port of Liverpool, that's what I was after. That shouldn't have been as difficult to think of as it was. There. Now, as you may have noticed, there's music playing now. The reason for that is because when we got onto the beach, I filmed a ton of footage, like 40 minutes worth, but because it was so windy, you couldn't hear a word I was saying on any of them. So I decided to put some music and narration in it instead. You know, trying something new. And the reason I decided to keep this bit of footage in of me walking up to the beach is because I just love the way the sand looks as it brushes across the path. I just think it looked really lovely. Also, what I'm leading up to is a sign explaining another thing about the beach, which is Anthony Gormley's Another Place, which is a series of statues dotted across the beach. And feel free to pause the video when I get to the sign, because I do just sort of scan across it. But once I reached the sign, I also panned across to look how empty the beach was. Now, I was expecting it to be really busy because it was during the holidays and all the kids were off school. True, it wasn't a bank holiday, so it wasn't one of those days where everybody was off work as well. But I was still expecting it to be slightly busy, what with it being a nice day and everything. But it was absolutely empty, and it stayed like that for most of the day, so I was really quite happy with it. Here's one of the statues I was talking about, and the reason I'm hesitating behind it is because this one, like all the others, is naked, so I thought I'd give you guys a warning first. Now this is what I came to the beach to do. Kite flying! As I said before, I hadn't done this in so many years, but it was nice weather and I wasn't doing anything, so I found the kite and decided to give it a go. You know, get me out the house and all. I'd like to apologise for the footage being blurry here, but don't worry, it does clear up in a bit. One thing I found, though, was that the kite refused to fly. I spent absolutely ages trying to get it to work, and ended up just using a shorter piece of string to try and gain some more control over it, which worked only at times, as you can see. Now that weird hand motion I'm doing there was to try and give the kite some more string. For some reason I had it in my head that once it was past a certain altitude or height, it would stop falling and just fly, so I was desperately trying to give it some more string. This happened a lot too, the wild manic spinning. The kite had a few issues which I didn't know about because I hadn't used it in so long, and one of them was that the wings would often come away from the wire which held it open, meaning that one wing would close while the other one was open, which is why it spun so much. I managed to fix the wing, but sometimes it would still come undone, causing it to spin again, which I have to admit was fun. Now, this footage here was actually really funny to get because I had the kite in my right hand and my phone in my left. So to start and focus the recording, I had to press my nose against the screen, which, as you can imagine, wasn't the easiest thing, especially when the kite was determined to try and plummet into the ground, so I had to try and stop that as well. But I just love the way this has come out. I mean, I know it's not always in focus and it's shaky and the kite isn't always in shot, but I just love the vibrancy of it. You've got like the bright colours of the kite against the blue sky. I think it's absolutely really beautiful. Believe it or not, I wasn't the only one on the beach flying a kite that day. And it had me thinking about my kite because they were doing so much better with theirs. Theirs was just the normal basic diamond, but it had a tail to it and those double handles, which set me thinking about whether or not mine would have been better with those. For some reason, my kite constantly fell to the right, which I thought was to do with the wing, but even after I fixed the wing problem, it still fell that way, so I'm still left wondering how to fix it. Another thing I think may have caused the issue was the fact that the wings flapped. I mean, sure, it was a nice effect that made it seem more realistic and it's lovely to look at, but it made controlling the kite a nightmare. I know most kites don't do it, and so I think that the flapping might have done something to the way it controlled. But I really don't know enough about kites to make any serious comments about it. It might have just been me doing it wrong, but if you do know anything about kite flying, feel free to leave a comment below. every time I felt like I was getting somewhere with the kite, that maybe I could get it to fly calmly and continuously, it would fling itself back down to the ground again. So yeah, as you can imagine, I was starting to get a little annoyed at it. But then I realised that I'd given it a personality, and if you look at sections of the video, you can actually see me pointing at it and yelling at it to behave. So, after flying the kite for a while, we sat down just to enjoy the scenery for a bit and take some panoramic shots, when I decided I'll go down to the water, only to get close to it and sink into this mud-like sand up to mid-shin. I had been following other people's footprints when they all just stopped, so I stood on this layer of sand that sort of sat above the main layer and immediately sunk, which is why my shoes are so filthy in this shot. You wouldn't believe that there are Converse underneath all that mud. Now, these are supposed to be the stairs, but they were covered in sand so deep you couldn't tell where your feet were, let alone the steps underneath. So I sort of, fell up them, as you can see. Then we both sat down to eat and enjoy the view. After having something to eat and drink, we decided to head back out towards the tide. Well, after all, my shoes were already muddy by this point. What more could happen? So I decided to get some footage of one of the statues not covered by sand, so you guys could see what it was like, which is when we saw this boat going past. Now here is one of the statues without any sand around it, and you can even see the top of the plinth that goes a metre down into the sand to keep it from toppling over. Now I tried to get around the front of it, but the mud was so thick around it, I didn't want to risk falling any deeper into it, but you can see all the footprints of the people who have been braver than me. It was at this point that I chose to try and get to the other side of the mud to test something out, seeing how flat it was on the other side, which meant finding a place where the mud was thinner. One thing we did find though were these little stones around the edge of the mud, and it was only when I stood on one of them that I realised that they were made out of mud too. It was just so strange how perfectly round they were. Now here you can see the mud compared with the sand itself, and see all the little mud pebbles sat around the edge of it. This is also the thin section of mud I was talking about, where you could try and step over or across it with just 1 or 2 steps into the mud, which is why one of my shoes looks slightly cleaner than the other. Once we were across the mud, the sand on the other side was lovely and flat, without any mud on it at all. So I started leaving footprints by jumping across the sand, which then gave me an idea. Now this is me trying out something I saw on Mythbusters, testing the myth that if a person cannot see where they're going, they cannot walk in a straight line. So I closed my eyes, took my glasses off, pulled the hood down over my head, and then used my hands to keep it pressed against my eyes, and set off. I'd set myself the target of walking towards one of the statues on the beach, but pretty much immediately started heading off towards my right instead of in a straight line. After a while though, I started to curve left, and my mum thought I was cheating because I was starting to head back towards the statue. But the curve continued, and soon I was walking straight towards the tide, and out towards the ocean, all whilst I thought I was heading in a straight line. I fully recommend trying this one out if you've got the time and space, because it's so funny to see where you end up. Anyway, I suppose that's it. I hope you've enjoyed today's video, and have a nice day.